Welcome back to the Photo Banter podcast. I'm your host, Alex Gagne, and on today's podcast, I speak with photographer and director Gary Land. Gary Land has worked with clients such as Nike, Under Armour, ESPN, Titleist Golf, and Apple Computers, to name a few. He has photographed everyone from LeBron James to Serena Williams, Tiger Woods, and Stephen Curry, to name a few. In this interview, I speak to Gary about how he's been approaching work with everything that's been going on with the COVID-19, various projects he's worked on over the course of his career, and I also talked to him about his experience photographing Chris Paul for ESPN's The Body Issue, as well as much, much more. Gary's someone who's accomplished a lot within his career, a lot of respect for his work, so I was excited to have him back on the podcast. So I hope you enjoy it, and thanks so much for listening. All right, Gary Land, welcome back to the podcast, man. Returning guest. How you doing, man? Crazy times the last couple months, but how's life?
Life is good, man. It's weird. I have a different perspective for sure. Like, it's kind of crazy because, like, for as long as I can remember, I'm traveling all the time. So me being a dad, staying at home, hanging out with the kids, has not been a reality for me since I don't know when. So, I went through kind of like the same phase as everybody else did, the panic phase, like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? What do I do with this time? And I think I've learned to appreciate it and, adapt to the situation. So yeah, I'm trying to look at it in the best light that I can, even though it's such a dark situation.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, because I know you're always, like you said, you're always traveling. You're always working on projects. You're a guy, you don't sit still. So it's like, what have you been kind of doing with your time the last couple of months with everything?
Yeah, well, the one thing I haven't done is taken any pictures, which is nuts for me.
I was actually gonna ask you because I was curious because for years you always had the Canon G10, even this little snapshots. You haven't even been doing that at all?
No, as you can see, I've got the Leica Q, which is my new Canon, and it's dusty. Like, I haven't even used it. It's weird, but the good news is there's a lot of things that I have been working on for a long time, like over 10 years. One of them being this graphic novel that I created. And I've never really shared or put out there. So I've kind of been using this time to revamp, construct, figure out how I'm putting it out there in the world. So I have been working on that with other people, and pretty soon I'm going to release an Instagram page and a website that just kind of shows the whole process and all the people that worked on it, what it was about in the first place. And then also, honestly, learning programs. I was never an editor. Like, I never edited anything motion. So I've learned Premiere and I've learned After Effects, and After Effects is the deal. Like,
wow. What have you just been using YouTube or like one of those like Lynda things, or what learning service?
You know what's weird? Like, I just hit up like my son, who's crazy. He's like a genius. I've been hitting him up. I hit up, one of my friends, Sev1, Jay Morales, and then I did some, like, if I'm looking at doing certain things, animation things, I'll like go to YouTube, and I'm like, there's a lot of junk out there, but like every once in a while you'll find a good one. So I've kind of like, it's not been like one source, but like all these multiple sources, and I'm kind of like taking what I need out of it. But it's been interesting to kind of go back to school, so to speak, and use this time wisely, and because the hours just
that's one thing I like from assisting you a few times that I always respected about you is you seem like a lot of photographers, they don't learn a lot of the technical stuff. They'll just hire someone else, pass it along. Because I remember when I first got out of school like 12 years ago, you were doing all your own retouching at that point, and these were like for big campaigns. So is that something you've always just tried to do? Is this kind of like do as much as you can in-house yourself, and even just having the knowledge, so if you need to explain it to clients or if you need to handle it yourself, that's just something that's kind of important to you?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I think I never did it for the reason, for a business sense. Like, I never did it for like, I need to do this if I'm going to survive or people want to hire me because I feel like I have to do it. I think I did it because I wanted my hands in every part of it I could get.
Yeah.
And I've always loved the post-production part of photography, or capturing images. Like, retouching has been something that's been dear to me for a long time. And I still do. Like, I still do a lot of retouching on my own definitely all my own projects. I do all my own retouching. And then sometimes the bigger projects, that I get hired for, I'll at least art direct, or I'll talk to, Abe at Trident, and I'll be like, yo, hey, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I like to give people like their own creative, like, output, like, hey, let me see what you can do. Here's some guidelines. And then sometimes I'm surprised, like, I get it back and I'm like, wow, I love the direction. Keep going in that direction. Or, but yeah, I mean, I still do it. I still do a lot of retouching, but I haven't kept up with the times as much as I should have, just because I've been doing other things.
Yeah.
So there's that part too.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do in a day. Because I remember going to your guys' old studio. What was that old studio you guys had? What town was that in? That was like
Rockland?
Yeah, Rockland.
Oh my gosh.
And like Abe and you guys were doing this campaign, and you guys like were photoshopping like cigarette smoke that made it.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I was like, it blew my mind.
Anti-smoking campaign.
Yeah, it was really amazing stuff.
That was crazy.
And I guess in terms of everything going on now, like, what have you been keeping in contact with, like, some of your clients and people you work with regularly, maybe producers or art directors? What have you been hearing? Like, are people still commissioning work, or what's kind of the word on the street?
I think people, for the most part, definitely a lot of the, the companies that I work for, they're definitely being safe and politically correct and trying to, they're changing just like we're changing, and like everything's changing. So they're trying to figure out how to move forward. I've got shoots on the board, docket right now that, I got a call right after this with Under Armour talking about a big shoot. It's going to be like 7 days at some school.
Okay.
Yet to be determined,
Oh, okay.
Because we got to figure out where we can shoot. A couple commercials that they want me that I'm supposed to shoot for some different companies. But again, everything is based off of like who's open, who's willing to, who wants to travel, who feels safe to do it. Like, it's interesting. So yeah, the work, I haven't done a job since March.
Yeah.
Literally closed down the doors right after doing a Lacoste shoot, and 3 people from that shoot had coronavirus that we didn't know about until we got home and quarantined for 2 weeks going, am I going to get this or not? And we didn't, thank God. But, but yeah, I think that companies are still trying to figure out the next move. What do we do? When can we shoot? Because people need assets more than ever. Like, the one thing I will say to anybody watching this is, I've been in this business for many, many years, and I always was told that we have a recession-proof industry, meaning that, we will be okay. And, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, right? So it's like all these companies that need to put out their products and they need people to buy them. They want to advertise more. They want to put out more content. So the content's going to be crazy, way more content now going forward than there was before.
Yeah.
People are way more looking at their phones, way more looking at, TV. So it's just who's going to be around to do it, and at what level, because definitely the jobs are going to be cheaper. The budgets are going down again. So everybody, including myself, that thought that the budgets were already slashed before going into this, they're going to be slashed even more now, because more people are going to be just lining up to do the work. Yeah. So those dollar signs we used to see before, I would say you won't see those as big.
Yeah, because like, do you remember in 2008 when that recession hit? At that point, I forget, were you still at Reebok or were you independent?
No, independent.
What do you remember about that?
Crazy. Like, one of my best years ever.
Was it? Interesting. Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's like I was so freaked out. And then I remember someone telling me this, an older guy, he goes, dude, trust me, you'll be fine. And then all of a sudden it was like gangbusters, like just working a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I interviewed an art producer from San Francisco last week, and she was actually the agency. I think she was like producing for Facebook right now or something like that. And they were having like meetings with OSHA and figuring out ways when they have shoots going forward, like new procedures and how they're going to attack this. Because like, as you know, like some of your shoots, you could have 30, 40 people. I remember we shot that like Under Jam shoot. We had like 30 kids there, 30 kids plus the crew, which is like another 20 people.
Yeah.
So it's
lot.
like, is that even something you're thinking about at this point, is like how we're going to approach this? Like social distancing, even like I've read stuff like where catering on shoots, the way they're going to have to feed people is going to be different and stuff like that. Is that even something you're thinking about? Because like 100%. I said, a lot of the shoots you're doing are big.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny. We have a call scheduled this week with my partners in the business to talk about, moving forward protocol, how many people on a job, like even just the people in my studio, who comes in, who needs to be there. Do you split up the days? Mm-hmm. Having a thermometer, one of those digital thermometers ready for people. I don't want to be there pointing them at people's heads and stuff all the time, but like, I got to figure that out. Like, how's that going to work? I don't want it to be militant, but I also want it to be, I want to create a safe environment.
Yeah.
The bathroom is the issue. I keep thinking of bathrooms, and it's like, you got one bathroom in a place where there's like 8 people. So it's like, that protocol is going to be different. Everyone's going to have their own hand sanitizers and, masks, even like just the cloth masks. I don't think you need to wear them all the time, but maybe you do. That's what we're trying to figure out. It's like there's so much unknown.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I already had it. I don't even know.
Well, I think when I talked to you like a month ago, your son got it.
Yeah, he got it. He had it early. He got it really early, and he's an editor, shooter. He lives in an apartment in Quincy, and he got it on a job in Florida with 2 other people who had it as well that worked for us.
Wow.
And then he came back and was shooting alongside me, and he had a fever.
Yeah.
So then we found out he had it. And there was like 20 people in the room when he had it, but nobody else from the shoot got sick.
Damn.
And he was like full blown sick with it. So it just doesn't make sense. It's like, and then I'm wondering, there's little symptoms that I had before all this. I'm like, man, could that have been it? And like now antibodies.
Yeah.
Look,
it's hard.
It's so weird. I've watched too much news.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to.
I had to zonk it out, but it's been interesting just kind of hearing, talking to different people in the business of like how they're going to approach it and whatnot. Because like I think earlier this year, you were shooting a ton of Olympic like campaign work. I forget, was it for Visa or?
God, everybody, Toyota, Visa.
Yeah.
Twice. Like that is so funny. I'm glad you brought that up because like, dude, the start of this year was epic. Like it was turning out to be one of the best years on record.
Yeah.
And like, I was in South Africa for 2 months shooting for Toyota for the Olympics and so much amazing work and nothing. I'll never be able to show anything from it. Same thing with Visa. Yeah. I did like 2 different shoots over 2.5 weeks for Visa. Won't be able to show anything from it. Shot motion and stills.
Have they even told you if they're going to end up using it next year? Or they
don't know. They're still like, honestly, I haven't even heard back from anybody from them yet because they're all just.
Yeah.
I mean, that was all their lives. These guys thought, you think I worked on it for that long? They spent a year working on it. So, and then the other thing was I shot another Apple commercial. I directed another Apple commercial that was supposed to run during the hockey playoffs.
Yeah.
And it got killed after we shot it and edited it and everything. So
damn.
It's like, all the work that I did this year, I haven't been able to show anything.
What kind of stuff were they having you shoot in South Africa? Was it like what athletes and were you working with, I guess?
Yeah, it was a bunch of different athletes. Hopefully I won't remember all the names, but I think it was a total of 12 global athletes for them, including Paralympians. So it was like skateboarder Letitia Buffon.
Oh yeah, legendary.
She was dope. Shot her. I shot Bebe Veo, which is like a Paralympic fencer.
Mm-hmm.
She was amazing. Jessica Long, who's a Paralympic swimmer.
Yeah.
Double amputee. I've shot her before for Coca-Cola. She was amazing. Jessica Fox, who's a kayaker. She's like a Australian kayaker.
Wow, all over the board, all types.
All over the board. Yeah, it was weird. Like we shot, Michael Norman, the track star. We shot a shot putter. It's killing me that I can't think of his name right now. It's insane. I've literally been in touch with him like multiple times.
That's all right.
Jerome. His name is Jerome. He lives in South Africa. He's an incredible guy. Shot him. There's just a bunch. There's a bunch of different things, but the lighting was really, really intricate. It was a huge set. We built water tanks and we shot was insane. Like, it was one of the biggest shoots I've ever done.
Damn.
And it was really good money on every front, like production, the fees. It was just like epic. They put us up in an Airbnb on the beach
Holy shit.
for a month.
For a month.
A month. And we shot we shot a day, took 4 days off, shot a day, 5 days off. I mean, that was like that type of thing.
Yeah. How common is that for you to have a month-long shoot?
That'll never happen again.
But like, how do you keep the stamina up on a shoot like that? By the end of that month, were you like just drained, or were you still?
No, actually, I bought a bunch of weight equipment, gym stuff, and I put it in our Airbnb, and I worked out all the time.
Yeah.
I did two other shoots while I was there, like scheduled shoots, and did those. Tried to stay as active as I could.
Yeah.
And I was with Jeff Douglas, who's my lighting guy. Yep. I used the local DIT, and Smitty, who produced it for me, he was there too. So it's 3 of us in the house together.
Wow, that's awesome. And another thing I've been kind of interested in talking to people about, like with everything going on, like how are you approaching like marketing? Are you even doing any marketing right now? Because it's kind of like I haven't really been doing too much. I've just been keeping in contact with the clients I regularly work with, because it's like I don't want to be tone deaf to the situation. It's like a lot of people are like, I know some of the art buyers in Mullen got laid off last week, like across the board. So it's like, how are you thinking about marketing during this kind of time, I guess?
I'm not going to do anything really until I go back to work. Just one, because I'm trying to conserve and save money.
Yep.
And people understand that. And plus, people are just tuned out right now. I mean, for the most part, like, they're dealing with their own thing. They're unknown of like, am I going to have a job? Art buyers, directors, they're all like, there's a lot of unknowns. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it would be a waste to put out something now, because I think it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Sure, you can put out something, but there's ways to do marketing too. Like Tim Tatter, he did a really cool thing, that Art for Assistance for the GoFundMe thing. That was pretty brilliant. And like, I hate saying marketing because that came from the heart, but still, like it was a smart thing for him to do. Mm-hmm. And other people followed suit, other photographers. I didn't do it. I was really close to doing it. And then I was like, you know what? Let those guys have their thing. And like, the more people got involved, it felt like it just got, it wasn't as cool. But Patrick Molnar, Tim Tatter, those guys, I was impressed by how they did that. So as far as marketing goes, I'm posting a little bit here and there on my website. Like, I've been going through archives, which you can only do so much of. The Iverson book that I created, I've been definitely selling a lot of those and like trying to push that a little bit more. Yeah. But again, I think working on this graphic novel has really been super exciting for me, and that I will put out, and I'll use my Instagram to talk about the shoot, maybe show behind the scenes stuff, and then try to get people influenced into go visiting it, because I don't know if you've ever seen it. Did you ever work on any of those?
No, I never did. I remember you've told me about it before, but I never seen any of it, but I know you've been working on it for years.
It's pretty crazy. Anytime I share it with people, they're like.
And is that something you think is just going to live online, or do you envision doing a book or a printed piece with it?
I was using it to sell a movie, a TV series idea. That was the whole idea for it. When I worked with Peter Jackson and Neil Blomkamp on District 9, it kind of started then. And I've been working on it since. I've been grabbing pieces here and there, writing, shooting. Right now it's a 14-chapter project with watching the progress of this young boy become a man, and like him, struggling with his own identity, and in the end having to save the world is the story. Yeah. And there's time travel, and it takes place in the future. It takes place in the past. So it's like, it was really, really fun shooting it. I'm trying to put together, I have video footage of us like doing the shoots and like all the BTS. So I'm trying to put together this, like, trying to figure out the best way to show all that. Is it through like one video, or is it like almost episodic where it's like, hey, shoot 2, here's what we did, Yeah. So anyway, I've got my work cut out for me when you mentioned marketing and things like that. As far as like printing a promo or things like that, I probably won't do that for a while, but I want it to be meaningful when I do it. Yeah, I might do a snowboarding book. That's another thing I'm working on, because that was so near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, how have you not done a snowboarding book when, you know, that was how you started, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
skateboarding, snowboarding, you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it was sad seeing Jake Burton passed away
Oh,
last year. I know you kind of had worked along with
yeah.
Burton over your course of your career. What do you remember about that guy? Because that guy,
Oh,
I never met him, but this from like seeing interviews with him and like his
yeah.
whole company, it seemed like he really gave back to the sport and everything.
He definitely, man, changed the sport. It's funny because like Jake is like the godfather. Like I didn't have a relationship with Jake. I'd lie if I said I did. Like
Yeah.
he was untouchable. Like
Yeah.
I'd go to Burton and always get free boards, boots, bindings because I was in the industry, but I
Yeah.
had to deal with other people. And like Jake would always be like, Jake's in his office somewhere. But the thing was like, I have nothing but respect for him, but it was funny. There was a time where people kind of like boycotted him, and when the Olympics were coming in, everybody thought it was corporate,
Yeah. Yeah.
and sure enough, he, stood the test of time and really just focused on what mattered most, and that was creating the best product that he could.
Yeah.
And, Nike tried to buy them out years ago, offered him, a gazillion dollars. And it was like, everyone was like, I can't believe you didn't take that. And he said, no, I want this for my family. I want to leave this as a legacy. And he
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
he did. He didn't sell out like a lot of other people did. He kept it.
Yeah.
And
And you got
the best products.
and you got a chance to photograph him, I think,
I did.
like probably within the last couple years ago.
3 years ago, maybe.
What was that for?
It was for Snowboarder Magazine, actually. They reached out. I used to work for those guys. I worked for Trans World and Snowboarder. I was like a staff, like not a staff, but like a freelance shooter that they would contact to do stuff. And my buddy, who was the editor over there at the time, Pat Bridges, who still actually works there, just reached out, said, I got this project. Are you interested? And of course, I was like, how are you not going to shoot Jake Burton?
Yeah.
It was weird, man. We went there, picked a spot in his warehouse, kind of like the archives room. And he was so humble. It was so amazing. And the things that he had been through. It was for an article about him and the survival and what he would, like the Miller-Fisher syndrome is something that he had, which was super rare disease, and battled cancer, and just a badass pioneer of the sport, pioneer of survival. You know what I mean? Like he literally, not pioneer, but like was like it was very interesting to see him and work with him at that level. Like he knew my name, knew who I was. And, he actually gave me a present at the end of the shoot. He signed a Jeff Brushy top sheet for me that he had created with Jeff Brushy's first board.
Wow.
Which was like my favorite board. It was like my first board, one of my first boards. And it's hanging in my office, man.
Damn. That's fucking awesome, man. It's kind of, you got to go back to your roots. Is like, do you enjoy, I know you don't get a lot of time to do editorial because you're shooting so much advertising, but is editorial something do you still pay attention and look at it a lot?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And because I know you got to do one last year, you shot the body issue, which is like, that's a big prestigious thing. Is editorial stuff something you enjoy? And do you feel like you have like a different approach to shooting editorial versus advertising, you think?
I love editorial because that's where you get the most freedom to be creative, and there's really no reins, so to speak. So that's what I enjoy. Because you know me, man, I'm like, I come up with some really crazy ass ideas, and a lot of times the advertising world's like has too many restrictions. And with editorial, if you have an idea, 9 times out of 10, you sell that idea and you go with it. And those are the things that I look at editorial for inspiration, for style, color, like everything. Like it's just, there's so much coolness with editorial. That's where you find innovative techniques and innovative style.
It seems like with editorial, they want ideas. Like a lot of photographers, they're like, pitch me ideas. You got ideas. They're hungry for that stuff. So if you have it, it's like, put it out there and you get opportunities pretty much.
Yeah. Like the body issue, that was like, they're like, tell me how you want to do it, what you want to do. And I came up with this whole like Westworld Minority Report kind of like weird thing. And dude, it's so funny. Some of the best shots, they wouldn't even let me run because Chris Paul's camp was like, I don't want to show his ass. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Yeah, there were some really amazing shots there. My favorite shots, I couldn't even show.
You can't even put
ESPN, their favorite shots, like they couldn't even use.
Yeah, you can't even put it on your website?
No.
Oh, dang.
But it was a lesson learned. I would totally do it again. It was a really interesting experience. But that was like, I don't get I don't ever get frazzled on shoots. And that when the first 20 minutes was probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been as a photographer.
Yeah, because prior to that, had you ever photographed nudes or anything?
I did early on with a friend, a girl that I knew.
Yeah.
She was going to be a model and just some tasteful stuff.
Yeah.
And that was, I liked her, so I was stoked. But this one was weird because I could tell that he was super uncomfortable.
Yep.
So I'm really good at usually making people feel comfortable on camera. But when you got a guy who's a basketball player known for his handles and dribbling, and I'm telling him to make dribble naked, it's like you can only make somebody feel so comfortable. But I had to kind of like take my anxiety down.
Yep.
And because I didn't want him to feel that as well. And when he saw the first picture and he knew that I was timing things where I didn't see certain parts of his body, he was super appreciative of that. And by the time we finished doing that whole shoot, he was so thankful, and he came up to me. And the funny thing is, though, I was stoked on the images. ESPN was stoked on the images. He was stoked on the images. And then he came out, and when it was time to post it, he started posting images, and everybody was ripping him.
Oh, of course.
They were like,
all his buddies.
He was like being serious because he had lost weight. He got ripped, and he was like, "Look at me, man! I'm doing this. I got really." And people were just bashing him. Yeah. So, but it was cool. I liked the images. The studio was sick that we shot at. I was using a new camera. I think it was the second time I ever used it.
What was it?
The Fuji GFX 100.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I've used it once because Michael Prince, another photographer in the Boston area, he bought one. I remember when you first bought it; it was pretty funny. You posted a video.
I was so excited.
You were happier than a kid on Christmas, man. It was hysterical.
I was. I've never done that since or before. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's funny. It's the only camera I use now. Like I literally sold all my Hassie stuff recently.
Yep.
The Canon I'll still use, but man, that camera, I've learned to really use it and master it. Mm-hmm. It took a while to figure out some of the focusing issues with, targeting, like motion, AI servo type stuff, but I've figured it out for the most part. I'm telling you what, that file though, it's insane. Yeah. It's insane. It's just nothing better than it right now that I've seen.
Only thing that was weird was like the viewfinder, it's like a digital viewfinder. So it feels like it looks like you're looking through like a camcorder from like 1995. That's the only down thing I didn't like.
I agree with you. I don't like EVFs. I don't like electronic viewfinders at all.
Yeah.
I like an optical viewfinder because you know what I don't like, right? So if you're shooting you right now and I'm blasting off frames, it looks the same the whole time. Like nothing changes. When you shoot electronic, it like does all this weird like artifacting, and I don't like that.
No.
And I never have liked that, but I've gotten used to it because the Sony is the same thing. The Sony A7 series has been an insane innovative breakthrough. And I've had all 3 of those cameras, and I ended up giving them to my kid because I don't like the electronic viewfinder. But I got to a point where you see the files and videos that come out of these things.
Yeah.
And it's like, either get with the program or don't, and so I took the chance in the Fuji, and I'm glad I did because I'm at the point now where I understand it, but I do agree with you.
And you can use the Fuji for like action stuff. Okay, everything.
But I mean, it depends on what I'm shooting.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't shoot it. I would rather use a 1DX.
Okay.
Like, on real action.
Yeah.
Because one, I'm going to get sharper files and more more per 100 images are going to be in focus and perfect than with the Fuji. But if I was doing a stage shot,
all right,
then
yeah, no, it's interesting. And another thing I was interested in talking to you about is you kind of have an interesting scenario that you've kind of built over the years, which is like originally you were just by yourself, then you brought on Abe and Jeff, and you guys were working together for years. And then you built your own studio in Quincy, which is like GOP. And then within that, you guys have, I believe, Trident, which is like retouching and post-production. And then I believe even now there's a couple other like entities within that. I guess, was that kind of always your plan to kind of build this thing with inside yours? And like, I guess, what's your approach been with that, you think?
No, I appreciate you asking that. So when I was working at Reebok, I always wanted to come up with my own company that was kind of all encompassing. It would be like something, originally it was called the Polygon Group. And I had a original partner. We were going to come up with this thing as music, sports, photography, like everything underneath one roof, right? It failed. It didn't happen. We didn't do it. I chickened out. I think, what ended up happening was GLP started out. GLP was my first company, Gary Land Productions, and Abe was the first member of that, Jeff. We ran that, and then it changed. I wanted to create a post-production company. We were doing post-production underneath GLP. We ended up changing that, coming up with Trident. Because we were doing retouching for other photographers, and I felt weird that like my name was associated with, I didn't want them to feel awkward.
And then even if you're like working on a project for yourself, you can bill it for another company.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I started that, and that's been going on for years, and it's we've seen growth and decline and more growth and lost big accounts, and I've experienced it all. We're still around. We do a lot of like CG, a lot of retouching, everything from short films to, a campaign of stills. And then GLP was primarily focused on production. So Smitty, Greg Smith runs that. Pretty much he's like the guy running that program. Abe Sands runs Trident. So it's funny that you should mention that, because right now, or 3 years ago, I formed alongside another guy, Dominique Filion, who worked for Adidas. We formed Convoy, which is a small agency. It's a creative task force, right? I mean, basically a nimble, diverse small group of people that we focus on strategy, creative, content, and experiences. So it's like, and the reason why I did that, and I know it's conflict of interest, but it's really not, because so many agencies or direct business clients would ask me to do more than just create assets. They'd be like, well, what do you think? What's your ideas? We have this new product. Can you come up with can you write a treatment? And the treatments weren't, tell us your approach or how you're going to shoot this. It was more like,
come up with an idea.
Show me your ideas. So over the years of doing that, I'm like, I need to like box that up and somehow present that in a way that makes sense. So that's how Convoy was born. The website's theconvoy.com. And, again, like, we do, from the strategy part of it, it's like we do like brand, social campaigns, and then the creative is the design, creative direction, copywriting, art direction. And then the content would be like, from digital to video capture to photography. And the experiences, we've done retail, pop-up shops, trade shows. We did trade shows for Raytheon, Quell. We did pop-up shops for Nike, for Kyrie. It's just a lot of different things. And again, I'm still a photographer. I'm still a creative director, but like we hire other photographers. Like an agency works, I'm using other people. I'm using other sources. It's just another entity.
Yeah, because under GLP, I know you got Tiber Nemeth, who I worked with him for years when I first got out of school, and then JJ Miller, another photographer, director. So they kind of all work under that whole camp. What have you kind of taken away? Do you feel like you kind of get inspiration from, like, it seems like interesting place to work, because of like a lot of photographers, it's just them sitting by themselves, whereas you have this whole like you said, you got graphic designers working there, you got other photographers. Do you feel like having all these people under one building is just kind of even helped you kind of grow?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's huge. It's like look, I'm the first person that's going to say that I don't have all the ideas. And when you have people around you that have really good input or excellent ideas or capabilities that you may not have, that you can utilize and learn from, it's so cool. Like, more people talking and hanging out together that all have common interests it's so amazing. And even like, me being a photographer, like when I first started doing this and I moved to Boston, like I wanted to share ASNP. I joined them, and it was like, I quickly realized, felt like everybody was like shitting on everybody else. And I didn't like that. Never was that type of person. And so for me to be like in a space where I can have JJ Miller, Tiber Nemeth, we could potentially bid on jobs together. I'm like, why? I want these guys. We should be together. Like, we're still doing jobs for different companies. We've done jobs for the same companies. I've hired Tiber as a second shooter on a job.
Yeah.
Like, I've done, JJ and I've worked on jobs together where we're side by side. That's where going forward, I think, is interesting. Like when you have a company like Reebok or New Balance, and they're like, hey, we need somebody to shoot this, project, how about both of us? Like, how about instead of having one or, you can have both of us. We'll figure out how it works money-wise, but now you have two guys shooting at the same time. It's kind of cool.
I think it's smart because you've created a community of creative people, and you have like a presence, obviously within the Boston area, but even broader now. So it's this like, instead of just one person, people are like, oh, like it's like this group, and I think people are probably attracted to that because it's like a lot of creatives,
I hope so. I mean, that's the idea of it. It's funny. I always feel like, I don't do enough social. I don't do enough putting our work. People for years didn't even know I was in Boston. But we don't do that enough, and I should.
Yeah.
You can't do everything perfect. That's the reality. Like I've always, it's funny. I tell people all the time, they're like, man, how do you have 4 kids, or how do you manage your life and travel and this? I'm like, dude, I don't. Like it's literally like I look at my life as a pie chart, and like it fluctuates, weekly. Like I'm a better father this week than I am a photographer, and I'm a better husband. And it's like, as long as like I give attention to each thing randomly enough within a month, that it kind of slightly balances itself out. It's like that whole saying was like, master of, what is it?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like,
it's like when you have so many things you love to do, just be a master at one thing. I'm all about like do lots of things and enjoy those things. It's like have hobbies and have extra things, and I call it eggs in other baskets. I've always had eggs in other baskets. Like I might be working for Reebok, but I'm also freelancing, and I'm also retouching on the side, and I'm also getting money from scanning. Like I've always done that. I don't know why, but it worked for me.
Yeah, I think it's like, that's always like following your work. Obviously, you're probably well known most for shooting all these athletes and these sporting brands, which you still do a lot of. But following your website, you've never been afraid to like. I remember like years ago, you went and did like some like fashion shoot in like some abandoned building or something.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I think a lot of people would be kind of nervous to put that on their website because they're like, oh, this might fuck up my paycheck because people think I'm this guy. So you've never kind of been afraid to like just kind of put it out there pretty much.
No, I never cared because that's just been me to a degree. Like I don't want to get put in a box. I can remember the early days of me showing portfolios, and dude, I'd have the most stuffy art directors and people. Like this is before I even had my first job, and they'd be like, "What's your niche?" And they'd be like, "What is your niche?" Like, I was like, "What's a niche? Like, what do you shoot? Are you up?" I'm like, I just want to shoot. I don't care. Like and again, too, I'm still saying that today. Like I could shoot an inanimate object, like a freaking shoe on a table, or a person, or like one of the biggest celebrities in the world. I try to treat everything the same. Like how do I make something as good as I can make it?
And street photography too. You're always doing that.
It's great. Yeah. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
If I can make my living doing that, like I look at honestly National Geographic dudes. Dude, I would love to be that guy. I don't know if I'd be waiting like at a gopher hole for a month waiting for something to pop out, but like, I look at, there's just so much great inspiration, and I love, dude, your whole Cuban skateboarding series. I was like, see, that's the type of thing. Like when I saw you do that, I was like, one, just to say, man, I'm gonna go to Cuba and I'm gonna shoot these guys. Like, you know how many people probably said that, and how people actually did it?
Yeah.
Like not many have done it. Like people may have thought it, or like you know how many times I've said I'm going to Cuba and I'm gonna go shoot, automobiles or cars or like whatever. I didn't do it. I haven't done it yet.
And it was even for me, because like for me that was an investment for me, because I was there for a week, but it was like a little over $2,000 to go down there. So it wasn't
crazy.
But it was just like the opportunity came, and I was just like, all right, I got to pull the trigger. It's like you kind of got to go with your gut sometimes. You kind of feel like that sometimes even.
You're going to make so much money from that shoot.
Yeah.
You will. Promise you this. You hear it from me. I've said it to you first. You will get hired. I would definitely do a promo. If I were you, I would do a promo based on that.
Yeah.
A nice little, a printed book. I wish I had one with me.
Yeah,
I've got some great resources for you, because that stuff will get it's got the right energy. The composition is beautiful. The color was beautiful. The subject matter is perfect. Like that's the type of thing I'd be putting out, and you will get a return on your dollar tenfold on that.
Is that kind of how you approach it? Because like one project I love, you did a book on it. You went to, I think, with the Dominican Republic, and you shot baseball.
Yeah.
And that basically just started from you just wanted to go shoot that. And then you shoot it, you come back, and then you figure out what how you're gonna market it. It's not like, yeah, there you go.
This was it. Like, dude, seriously, I literally went to the Dominican just because I wanted to go, and I just said, I'm going to shoot baseball. I had no idea about doing a book, promo, nothing. Yep. Me and a couple guys. And, like, when I came back, I saw the amount of images. I'm like, I got to do a book on this. And it was like, I did, like, this book. It was, like, opened up the binding, put baseball stitching in it. Yeah. And it was just, like, you know, just really crazy.
Yeah.
Very simple pictures, you know? Yeah. Like, it wasn't much. I literally just wrote a little bit like, hey, here's my trip. And it was fun. You know, here's some pictures. I mean, it was very that simple. Yeah. And it was like, I used uncoated paper.
Oh, wow.
And so I'll tell you a funny story about this book. So I did this book. It cost a decent amount of money.
Okay.
And my agent was like, I can't believe you, you know, because he pays for part of my stuff because I pay him a percentage.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, look, you know, I'm doing this thing, a promo. I think I might have done 300.
Yeah, you sold it on your website for a while.
No, I didn't even say. I gave away 280 books. Like I had,
shit.
like,
right.
Yeah. So the only books I had now is I was selling a few of them. I have like probably 20 left. But anyway, so I've chalked it up as like I was lost money on this thing, but it was a promo. I put money out. So the Apple job that I got in India for the big one that had like the most views of any Apple commercial ever was like. It was pretty crazy. So the guy, when I got the call, he told me that the job was mine. I'm not bidding against anybody because I did a job. He was an art director on a Nissan job. I had just got the first book printed and I had it with me and I gave it to him. I don't even remember giving it to him. I gave it to him on the job. He said this book was the catalyst for the whole commercial. Yeah. So like that one book I shot an Apple commercial with just because I did it. And then the funny thing is, the Iverson book that I did, which cost me a ton of money.
Yeah.
That I just the Toyota Olympics job I got based off that book because the guy was a huge Iverson fan. He got the book and was like, dude, I love this book so much. I love your mind, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. Sure enough, I made a comment to him. I said, hey, man, you give me this job, I'm going to come with a signed Iverson jersey. And he was like, what? He was like, ah. And then I was dead serious.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when I found out I got the job, I called up Allen Iverson. I got another jersey signed, brought it to him on the shoot. He was like blown away. It's amazing. Little things like that. But like, look, everybody wants something. Everybody wants something for free. And I don't mean that in a cheap way. I mean that in a way that's like, it's exciting when you get something on your desk. Somebody gives you something that's like, wow, like a book or a promo or like.
Yeah, and it has like, you can tell you have a passion for that because like a lot of times, I think early on in my career, I was like, because like, all right, we live in Boston, New Balance is here, all these other companies. So I went and shot those like stereotypical running photos like over the Zakim Bridge, like every photographer has done. Yeah. And then I realized I was just like, I don't even give a shit about these photos to begin with. And it just gets lost in the mix with the other thousands. So I might as well just shoot what I want. And then like, hopefully people respond to it, you know?
Yeah, that's the right attitude. That's been my attitude from the get-go. Cause like, and also the other thing to like, think of the reverse of that too. Like, don't ever be afraid to shoot something cause you want to do it. If you think it's already been done, it doesn't matter. You didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I always like, I'll see something, I'll be like, oh, that was so sick, you know? And I'm like, I can't do it because it's already been done. Like if everybody had that attitude, nothing would ever get done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you even have a project I think you shot last year. It's on your website. It's like, I think it's called Trogue, which is like.
Yeah, but who hasn't done that?
Yeah, there's a million photographers that have done it, but you had a different approach to it.
Exactly. So. I just said, I want to do it. I like, don't care it's been done.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I'm going to go do it.
Exactly.
And you know what? I really didn't know what to expect. I went, I shot. I contemplated, do I do something with it? And I got such a good response when I posted stuff on Instagram that I was like, yeah, I'll do a little, why not do a promo? And I did a promo and, you know, I'll never know. You never know if you get stuff back. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I never knew. Like, 7-8 years later, I found out it was from this. You know, but like, it's not like you do promos and people are like, oh, hey, dude, I just got your promo. I'm hiring you for a job. That's never happened.
No.
I don't think.
No.
It might have happened with my Mutters when I did Tough Mutters thing.
Okay, true.
Because that dude, that was a great, oh my God.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of like, like shoots, promo shoots and things like that I literally should have been arrested for. Like, I remember I did the Tough Mudder thing. It was like when Tough Mudder was first like popular.
Yeah.
I just found out, I was like, I got to go this weekend. I'm going to go shoot a Tough Mudder. Looked up, where's the Tough Mudder this weekend? Michigan. Cool. Got a flight. Me and Jeff went out there. No press passes, nothing. Totally like sideline. We get there. We couldn't get in, no press pass. We're like, damn it. What are we going to do? So we were just walking around the outskirts, and I saw these. I mean, I hate to admit this here on your podcast, but I saw this building and had a bunch of golf carts out there.
Yeah.
So Jeff and I were just like, I wonder if any of these work. And sure enough, one had the key in it, and we turned it on. We put our cameras in it, and we just went out on the course and literally shot access where no photographers were, because we were just in the middle of the course.
Yeah.
And we literally the whole day we were in this golf course until the battery died. We died in the middle of a field and just got out and started walking. Nobody questioned it.
You got to do whatever you got to do to get the shot. It's like you're not hurting anybody. It's just like you apologize later. I think that comes from like skateboarding.
It
like,
does. 100% breaking the rules.
Jumping fences to go in schoolyards and all that stuff.
I still do that stuff. Abandoned stuff. I love that stuff too. And that stuff's dying. You don't even see it anymore.
Yeah.
All the buildings are being taken out.
Yeah, for sure. And, another thing I was always kind of interested in, more business stuff, I guess, is like, you've had the same agents for a while. I believe, what is it? Kenny, what is it? Kenny or
Not Kenny and Edvaritis.
Yeah. I guess like, what made you want to like partner with the rep? Like, what do they bring to the table for you? And like, even now at this point in your career, like, what do you, because your name's so out there, like people know who you are. Like, what does the rep bring for the table to you, I guess?
I mean, so I've been with John and Ed for, since 2006.
Yep.
And I was with another rep before then. And he took me away from that rep. Just said, you're so good. You're not getting any jobs, the right jobs. I'm going to get you the right jobs. It took me about 5 months. I finally went with him. And, you know what? It's weird. Like, reps get into places that you might not have a chance to get into, or you get so busy that you don't think like they think, like, and then trust me, it hasn't always been easy. Like, I went through a phase where I was like, I wonder if I should just find somebody else.
Yep.
Thought about it, told them about it. They said, hey, listen, we hear what you're saying. Give me a chance to prove that we're right for you. And I said, okay. I gave them a year. They completely did everything they said they were going to do, and then some.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've also talked to other photographers that have been through similar situations and switched reps and wish they hadn't. A lot more of that than the vice versa.
Yeah.
So they're really great guys. I consider them more of a family now, just because they know me. We have a great relationship. They respect my craft and what I do. They go out a lot. They're always on the road, always showing portfolios, always have my best interest. So, yeah, I mean, I pay them a percentage of everything that I make. But, like, that's also, if I didn't have them and I just said, yeah, you know what, my name's out there, people know me, it's just one less avenue or vehicle that I have that's trying to get me work.
Yeah, it's another part of it's like another part of the engine.
I think it's a necessity, and I always will. I'll have a rep until I'm not doing this anymore.
And I know some people have different reps for their directing versus stills. Like, what's your approach to that? Because I know more and more you're doing like bigger commercials for like Adidas and these big spots. Like, how have you been approaching that, I guess?
It's funny. So right now I'm under GLP, as a director, and that's kind of like a production house, and we've been trying to get other directors. So I co-own that. So it'd be really weird for me to go Imperial Woodpecker or one of those places. So I'm in a unique situation where like I'm staying with the house.
Yep.
And my goal is to bring on other director photographers into our fold, like other people like JJ and Tiber, because both those guys are busy. Tiber's got a call today with a job, big job. JJ's been working, it's like, and these guys are awesome dudes. Anybody that gets brought in to our business, the other photographers will have a say, and they also need to fit the mold of what we are. Like, I don't need attitudes. I want people that are genuinely nice people that just want to share and create cool stuff, and realize that like there's always somebody that's going to do this job.
Yep.
Always. Like everyone can take, especially now, anyone's can be a good photographer. You can be trained that. It's just like, it's a lot more than photography now. It's about, you know, what are you like as a person? What, you know, are you, you know, how are you on social media? Like all these things, there's so many more things you got to be good at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, people that I know that have insane technical ability and are they're geniuses at one thing, but they suck at being social.
Yeah, that's what I learned from like working with Tiber and you is like the technical stuff, that's just base stuff you just have to know. And then it's like having that ability, like you said, to communicate and create like a mood on set. Cause like I've assisted a lot of photographers, and the guys that like are very introverted maybe and are not good at communicating, it makes the whole set feel like very serious, which it is.
Uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah, we're all there to like, it is serious business. We're trying to execute it to the best of our abilities, but sometimes like if you can't communicate, it takes away from the end product, I think.
I think so too.
Is that something like, do you feel like you've always just been good at like talking to people, or is it something like, do you feel like you grew with it the longer you got? No.
I've always been like that.
Yeah.
I've always been outgoing, you know.
The parties at Gary's house.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I always looked at it. It's a blessing and a curse, right? It's like, I've been way too outgoing all my life, you know, class clown, you know, I have ADD, talk to anybody, you know, can be a chameleon where I can like change the way I can be around different types of people. Like it's just always been me, you know. Grew up in that environment. I'm the youngest of four, and all my older sisters. So it's like lots of big personalities. That's been me, you know, and some people don't like that, you know, and I can't help that. You know, I'm going to be who I am. And it's the same thing. Like, it's so funny because my son, he's very quiet. Like he was like, and I've watched him over the years open up a lot more and be a lot more comfortable on set. I felt like he felt like uncomfortable. Yeah. And I it's like, that's a tough thing to be so talented at what you do, but like a hard communicator or make people feel uncomfortable. Like those don't go hand in hand. So like I guess it's advice or to anybody that's going to pursue a career, whether it's in, you know, public service type stuff or like, you know, a service or anything like photography or videography, or you got to be an energetic or fun person to be around. I don't say energetic, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think
communicative.
And even if you are introverted, because I think I was at the beginning of my career, I think you can get better at it. Like you just got to force yourself to do stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable. And the more you do it, you'll get more comfortable in this being yourself and being able to explain your work. Because I think that's like, I didn't realize it early on, but being able to explain your work, what you do to other people is like a very like important skill. Yeah, it's very hard. And even more, you're doing it on the creative calls, but even more is like those treatments, man. Being able to write about it. Like I look at some people that they're like really good at it, but it's like something I struggle with is being able to write. Hard. Yeah, I'm better at talking, but like writing, it's a very hard skill. But
I couldn't agree with you more. I have a very hard time with it because I'm doing it so much that it's like, do you find out you're saying the same thing all the time? You know, it's like, and this job is not easy. It's like it's similar to like when you look at like a celebrity, like a basketball player or one of their jobs, you're like, man, he's getting paid. It's so easy. He's dribbling a basketball, taking shots. And like, nobody talks about the training and how much this. And it's like, there's so much behind the scenes that goes into doing what we do. And it's like, there's a lot of risk taking. You're spending money. You're putting yourself out there. You hope people like what you're doing. There's the ups and downs of the business in general. Like, you know, and you just have to kind of go with the flow. And like, I think I don't really consider photography or directing a job. It's more of a lifestyle. Like I feel like you don't do this. You don't be like, what job do I want to do? I think I'm going to do. I think it's got to be something. It's like surfing. Yeah. Like there's people that get paid to surf, but the reason why they get paid to surf is because it's their life and they've gotten so good at it that they get sponsored, and next thing you know, they're competing and they're a face of the sport. I think it's similar in photography, where if you're really that passionate about creating doing all this content. It's your life no matter what. Like you could be poor and have nothing else, but you got a camera and a computer.
It's fuel for me. It's like, I don't know about you, but like I'm the same way. Like the last couple months, I haven't really shot anything just because everything going on. And I feel like I'm like missing something. Like I haven't created something. And it's like, it's like, if you're in, you got to love this shit. Like, it's like you're saying, like you're always just shooting random projects and stuff. And it's just like, I'm going to be doing this regardless if anybody pays me.
It's so weird. I was sitting outside the other day. I was like, I'm looking at the trees and I was thinking like, what would I create right now if I could? Like, what would I do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking of so many things. And like, then you start thinking about other people have done. I'm like, yeah, that was cool. That was cool. And it's just like, you get into this thing where it's weird. I always wonder what the process is for me. Like, where does it come from? And I honestly don't know. I think sometimes I might see something and then spark something, or I'm like, it'll just randomly come to me. Or like, but there is no, it's not like, oh, I go to my everlasting book.
Clock in. Let me clock in. I got it. No, it's just,
things just come, they just come and you try to accept it for what it is.
Yeah. And one thing you've done pretty well is being able to like, you start off pretty much just doing still photography, and now you're doing more and more like directing and motion projects. I was curious maybe if you might have any advice for other photographers or like trying to make that jump, because I think they can look at your website and you're using all the crazy equipment, and like, what would you tell the people that are trying to get in the foot in the door? Like, what skills should they be working on? Should they even be worried about the equipment at the beginning? Like, what should they be doing, you think?
Wow, it's a good one. Because I feel like I'm still figuring it out in the sense of like, first thing I'll say is, to make that jump, I got forced into that jump. I didn't just get into motion because I wanted to try it out. Like it was something that I had to do.
Yeah.
And what proved to be difficult for me is when you say the word director, right? Mm-hmm. It's different than a photographer. Director is a guy that's like putting things together and pulling the energy and creating these scenes and making sure it all works, like, it's not the guy, for the most part, behind the camera, coming up with cool angles, figuring out cool transitions. That's like the DP.
A lot of directors don't even know anything about the camera.
I know all that stuff, but like, I struggle with being a DP or director. Like I love the DP side of things. I want to be behind the camera. I want to get those motions. I want to get in there and feel the shot, not go, yeah, baby, that's great. Now I want you to do that's not me. But I still do that. But like, so I guess for me, doing so many commercials and doing a lot of that, learning it and knowing the equipment, knowing the right things to say and how it all works and the unions and like who does what. And I think the one thing is trust. It's like you've got to have a team of people. Now, again, it's bigger jobs. You can easily go in with a DSLR and go shoot cool stuff and put together a film. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is I don't think there's guidelines, man. I really don't. Like,
he's got to get out. Yeah, he's got to get out there and try it. Yeah.
Go shoot anything you want. Like, here, perfect example is, how many jobs that I'll get that are like still based, and then they're like, yeah, we want to get some motion too. Can you just we're going to have a camera rolling some motion, but then there's no script. There's no order of what we're shooting, but then they want to create spots out of the content you're shooting. So then it's like you have to have conversations ahead of time with whoever you're going to have shoot it, including yourself, going, okay, make sure you blanket cover this. We're going to cover that. Do some of the in and out, rack focus from here to there. Cover get some of the product, some of the texture of the background, some of the people, make sure they're mic'd up. You start thinking, because then you start thinking of like, well, what are these clips going to be? What are they going to want? Because a lot of times these clients won't give you it. They won't say, we need this. We need a 15-second breakdown. But
we want assets.
Assets. And like that's where I feel like I've been doing it long enough where I kind of know what works. Mm-hmm. Like I'm working on a Lacoste one right now where you have an edit and it looks badass. A lot of cool transitions, cool music. Focus on the product. Focus on the guy. Do really nice moves that kind of helps to tell the story. It's just forever changing. Like I have not shot yet a script heavy, like dialogue driven. I've done some commercials with dialogue, but nothing that I want to do.
Yeah.
Like I want to shoot a movie. That is my goal. I want to shoot a film it's funny. Like the graphic novel I'm telling you about. I went and pitched the graphic novel to Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
And I pitched to Amblin Entertainment, which is Spielberg's group, and I pitched to CBS. And I pitched to CBS first, and they loved it. They loved it. I couldn't even. They were talking over me, like, "Oh my God, this is great. We could do that." I was like, "Oh wow," And Smitty's sitting there. He's like, "This is great. They might want this thing." And then they asked me for the script. I said, "I'll get you the script." We had the next day. We had a meeting with Amblin Entertainment, and when I went there, it was just like it was terrible because I had like a panic attack. Like I don't ever get panic attack. I had a panic attack in Spielberg's office. Literally threw up in his bathroom.
Why you was kind of nervous because it's such a big thing?
I went there because I had a big head. I was thinking it was all great. I had a great meeting the day before, and I go there, and like my presentation that I had created for this meeting was all Adobe Spark, and their Wi-Fi was down. So then I was like, I had to kind of like start remembering stuff, and then the head of production was asking me all these questions that I didn't have ready to fire back. And I started getting in my head, and I started going down a dark spiral.
Wow.
And then dude, it was a bad scenario. Like I literally was scarred for 4 months after that.
Yeah.
But I learned a lesson.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to hear even you at this point in your career, you still have those days or meetings where,
oh my God.
And you got to go back to the drawing table and figure out what you did wrong and like keep moving.
But I would say, like, to answer your question about like, what would you tell, photographers or young guys that want to get into directing or shooting motion, is that the greatest thing today is that the cameras that we all have shoot video. Like 9 out of 10, and like don't hesitate to roll some motion clips and then get it, play with Premiere. Like, I mean, you probably have Adobe Suite, download Premiere, play with it. Play with those things. I can't believe how much I've learned since the quarantine. I never messed with Premiere. The thing was, I would ask, like, hey, I need this edit. Can you put together this reel? I want to do my own reel. Like now I'm like, give me the footage. I'll put that. I'm good at that type of stuff. And now that I know these programs, I'm going to force myself to do more of that for me. Yeah. And it opens my mind too, to like, what's possible.
No, that's smart. And then like you were saying, like everything, like your phone is a camera. And I was interested in talking to you about, you shot a whole campaign for Apple called Shot on iPhone.
Yeah.
So like, and you guys were like, it looks like you travel all around the world. What was that campaign about? Like you literally shot with the iPhone.
Yeah. Yeah, I shot, and I've done 3 of those now.
Wow.
I've done 3 of those now. But the one that I did was for India was it's called Our Game. And it was shot all over India. It was for the Cricket World Cup. And I had 4 DPs, including myself, in different cities in India shooting all at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. So they hired me as a director DP. They let me pick who I wanted, my other DPs, and we all got together, had meetings, figured out how we were going to do everything, and for a month. And then we went and we all did it and tackled it. And we basically talked over WhatsApp every night about what we had shot and how we were going to do the next day. Why
did they want to shoot it all at the same time? Just
because we needed a ton of content in a short window for this crazy timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically Apple had 1% of the business in India. And you think about that. How many people are in India? They had no market share in India. So they wanted to get to what is the heart of India? Cricket. They created this whole cool campaign. I had, again, this book was the catalyst of why they hired me to do it. And I brought my guys, and it was a really cool success. But think about it. We shot on the iPhone 10. I had to learn that thing. We shot using Filmic Pro, had to learn the ins and outs of that. We shot using gimbals, so like the Movi cinema robots and selfie sticks and like, dude, we did everything. We came up with a system. All our color had to match, shutter angle had to match. We had to shoot 25 PAL. Like there was a lot of like things that we had to make sure that every time we turned the camera on, it all was the same.
Were there like any advantages or disadvantages to shooting with an iPhone? Is like something you like? Because I saw what's that director, Steven Soderbergh? He shoots all his movies now on iPhone, like literally all of them. I'm like, you're a fucking madman, dude. But what were some of the advantages and disadvantages of like this using an iPhone versus like the bigger cameras you normally use?
The advantage is that it's so small. It doesn't get in people's faces. It feels very natural. Like people don't get flustered and feel, put off by, this little device. It feels like it's their friend shooting them. It doesn't feel like this big camera, they got to perform. It's like, it feels like it's just you're part of the scene, and that's how I like that about the camera. The only thing that I don't like about it is, you can't change lenses. You're stuck with what you got to get. All the artifacting and the things you want to do might have to be done in post. The quality's not as great. They're temperamental with temperature, with heat, with temperature and with, all sorts of atmospheric stuff. There's issues.
Yeah.
And then recording. You can only record for a certain amount of time.
Oh, yeah, true.
So compression is another thing. Like it's getting better. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. But it's not, it's not an RA or it's not a red. It's,
No, it came out great. It was just interesting to see how you guys approached it.
I was surprised actually how they were able to color grade all that footage and, be able to take some of the slow-mo shots that we did. But the other cool thing was to be able to get that little phone because it's small, right? You get this phone into places where you couldn't get a camera.
True.
That was the cool part. Like we put it, on the wickets, like on the cricket wickets, like we basically taped it on there and the guy was supposed to bowl a shot and it hit the phone and knocked it off. Like you couldn't have done that with a bigger camera.
Yeah, it's true.
And then again, if you break this, it's a lot cheaper than breaking a body with a lens,
Yeah,
those lenses are 10 grand a piece, sometimes.
Yeah, no, it was great. Couple more questions. I'll let you go. Yeah, I was pumped. I don't know what it was for, but you photographed Chris Miller, who's a legendary skateboarder. For me, I feel like he doesn't get as much respect as he deserves. Like one of the most stylish skateboarders there's ever been. What was your experience photographing him, and what was that for?
That's funny you should say that. So Chris, like you said, dude, huge inspiration, such a good skater, still skating just as hard now as he was when he was younger.
His son rips now.
Dude, he's amazing. Long story short, I've always been into skateboarding. That's kind of how I started. That was my start in this business. And I realized that no one ever in the skateboarding industry is going to hire me to shoot anything. And I don't have the connections anymore to go get some of the baddest skaters or some of the greatest skaters and go shoot stuff. I don't have that luxury.
A lot of skaters.
I'm corporate.
A lot of skaters used to clown on snowboarding.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's no way I'm getting access. And trust me, I've tried to DM people and be like, yo, I want to hear. Skateboarding is my roots. I'd love to get back. Didn't hear back from anybody.
Yeah.
So I ended up hitting up. So one of my buddies knows Chris.
Yeah.
And he actually is a big timer at K2 Snowboards now, but he's worked in the industry for years, skateboarding, everything. He's a big fan of mine. So I hit him up and was like, hey, listen, I would love to hook up with Chris Miller. I know you know him. Do you think you could say something to him and say, hey, I got this guy who wants to shoot you? He says, yeah, let me put a call into him. Next thing I know, I get a call from Chris Miller and we're talking. He was like, yeah, man, come out. I'll meet you at the skate park and we'll just shoot some shots. So I flew out to Cali, literally.
Wow.
And met him and his son at the skate park, and he just gave me an hour, and I just shot him.
Yeah, no,
that was it.
Yeah, this goes to show.
Myself.
it just goes to show all you got to do is just ask the question. That's all you got to do. The worst is someone's gonna say no, or they're not gonna respond to you, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, the baseball. Dude, did you ever see this thing? Real quick, I know I showed it to you. This is another promo I put out called Promised Land.
Oh yeah, we talked about it briefly. It was where you guys went to, was that Utah or something?
Yeah, this was this was actually in Utah. So the story behind this is this was like a basketball player. This is a dude I just DM'd. I saw him on Instagram, DM'd him, and I was like, yo, I got this idea. Are you down? And I told him about the idea. I said, I'm going to take you in a basketball hoop, and we're going to go to some of the national parks. We're going to freaking sneak in the basketball net. I'm going to have you dunk in all these locations. He's like, done.
Yeah. Did you get any shit for bringing a basketball? Yeah. What happened?
I did. At the end, we literally shot in so many places, and no one said anything to us because we did it under the cover. We had a white van in the beginning, and we had the it's like a normal work van, and we had the basketball net stuck in it. So we just pull up, and we'd have somebody look out. All right, coast is clear. We pull out the thing. We run up into the woods. Nobody see us. So we did that for every day, found a new location, set up the net until we saw somebody or whatever, broke it down quicker, got in and drove away. The last day we're shooting was Goblin Valley National Park. And this was like, we're talking like one of the most iconic Martian-like landscapes. This place right here.
Yeah. Yeah, and for anybody listening, basically what Gary did is he brought a basketball player to national parks like Salt Flats, and he brought a basketball hoop with him. Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude, so the funny thing was we're here shooting in this crazy environment. You can see how how nuts that is. So we were there, and we got finished shooting. A storm's coming. We were like high-fived. I mean, I shot with reds. I shot a motion piece. So I had 2 red cameras. I had I had a Canon. I shot with that. I had 2 other guys shooting with me.
You guys shot what, 2 days?
Yeah, no, it was like 4 days.
Oh, 4 days.
Wrapped that whole thing up. We were stoked. Got away scot-free, we thought.
Ooh.
We put we transferred because we had to take the rental van back. So we transferred the basketball net into the back of our pickup truck that we rented. Yeah. So then, as we're driving out, we had to go past the guard gate, which is a big building. So we're at the guard gate. We pulled in front, and then Max is like, "I got to use the bathroom." He goes in. We're waiting for him, and then we hear him. We hear him go, "Yeah, I can't lie. Yeah, we were shooting in the thing." And I was like, "What?" So
why would he say?
Yeah, the guy asked him, like, "Did you guys bring that thing down in the valley?" So the guy shut our whole operation down. He goes, "I'll be right back." He goes in. I told Max, "Get in the car. We're out of here." He gets in. We drive away. We're talking like we're still in the park. We're driving, hauling ass out of it. This guy comes tailing down, lights on, chases us all the way out to the main road for miles, right?
Holy shit.
We pull over. He forces Max to delete all of the files off of the card, off of the camera. And Max does it. And I'm watching him do it, and I'm so pissed. But then he tells me what he did was he had already taken that card out and backed it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, and the guy goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry to do that, man, but I just don't want to get the wrong impression of people thinking they can do things like this." Yeah. And I'm like, "We understand completely." So I broke the law again.
Breaking the law.
But it was a cool project. Breaking the law. Yeah.
It wasn't like you were hurting nothing. Like if you were like,
no, we were very respectful. Other than that,
yeah, it's like if you were cutting down trees and shit, then I could be like, "Oh yeah, that's fucked up." But yeah, it wasn't.
But it was cool, and the funny thing was, Nike was like, they saw it and they were like, "Dude, we wish you would have contacted us. We would have, put so much behind that thing."
Damn.
So it was a cool thing for me to do, and I'm thinking what's the next one? I've got a bunch of ideas, and I want to go to Japan, and I want to focus on sumo wrestling.
Yeah, I was Googling sumo wrestling in New England. I couldn't find really any. Yeah, that'd be sick, man.
Yeah, I was working with a lady in Japan. This is before the tsunami, and she was going to get me in. I was going to do a book, and it was going to be a big book, and the one side was going to be sumo, and the other side was going to be geisha. So it was like the feminine, masculine book of Japan.
Yeah.
And so she died in the friggin' tsunami. Her whole family is killed in that.
Fuck.
So I kind of pushed off. I just stopped doing it, but that's one thing I've been wanting to do for a long time. And hopefully I get a chance to do it. But I know it's a really tough thing to do for somebody like a Westerner to go there and try to get access to that type of stuff is really difficult.
Yeah.
But maybe it happens. I don't know.
Dude, you could do it, man. You'll finesse it anyways.
You want to go to Japan? Let's go.
Yo, man, I'm down. Let's do it. It's on my bucket list. Random question. Have you been watching the Jordan Last Dance documentary at all?
No.
Oh, have you heard about it though, right?
No.
Oh, you got to check this out. It's on ESPN. It's called The Last Dance. It's a 10-part series of Michael Jordan. It's an amazing documentary.
All right. I'm going to start watching today.
Dude, you'll be addicted. It's a 10-part series. They have 4 more episodes left, and it's Jordan's last season, and he gave access to these guys to document it. And this footage has been sitting in NBA the offices locked down for the last 25 years because Jordan wouldn't let anybody use it until now. And it basically it breaks down every episode is his beginning of his season. Then they have an episode with Rodman, Scottie Pippen. It's incredible.
Oh my God. How have I not heard about this?
Oh, they've been talking about it nonstop. You got to check it out.
All right, I'm going to check that out. That's crazy.
But yeah, anyways, I guess to wrap up, I guess we'll just leave it at this. What advice do you give for the younger photographers out there? And what's next for Gary Land?
Man, my advice is like I always say, keep shooting, shoot. You know, it's the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. Do things but also don't shoot what you think people want to see. Do things that you want to put out there and just that you feel that you're passionate about.
Yep.
That's the best advice I can give. And what's next for me is the unknown. Like, right. I think it's just keep creating. And like, I like I said, I want to shoot a feature film. I'm going to really push to try to do that. Not try to always get put in a box. I've been known as a sports photographer pretty much most of my career, and I love sports, and I'll still do that. Sports are near and dear to me, but like, I love a challenge too. So, maybe I do might change my focus into something different, like cats. I'm kidding.
Whatever.
I don't know. Again, I'm up for a challenge always, and I just want to keep going. And, I appreciate you, reaching out to me, and it's always fun. And if anybody wants to ever ask me a question directly, obviously they can go to @GaryLand on Instagram and just DM me. Yeah. It's always this way.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Gary. And keep doing, I love on your Instagram, you're like one of the only photographers that does this. You love the live videos. Like you'll be on shoots. And people love it. It's great though. People
are always giving me crap. They're like, all myself, why are you doing that? And I'm like, I don't know.
Fuck that. It's great. Like people want to hate, man. Keep doing it.
I will, and I'll keep mentioning you. You can keep coming in with me. Just join me.
All right, Gary. Always a pleasure.
Awesome, brother.
Talk soon.
Alex, it was great talking to you.
All right, later, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
So there you have it. That was the Gary Land interview. I just want to thank Gary so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. It was a real pleasure talking to him. Like I said, I've been a big fan of Gary's work for years. He's always shooting personal projects and kind of this improving on his skills and this kind of real force in the industry. So can't think of enough. Definitely go check out his website at GaryLand.com, as well as his Instagram @GaryLand. Lots of cool work up there, so definitely go give him a follow. And as always, I'll be having weekly podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, as well as the Photo Banter YouTube page. I've been kind of putting the podcast on YouTube so you can see the video, as well as kind of like multimedia presentation of each photographer's work. So definitely go give that a follow. And thanks so much, and take care.